On August 11, 2025, Mercury turns direct in the sign of Cancer, concluding a significant retrograde phase that began on July 18. It is essential to note that these interpretations are based on Sidereal or Vedic Astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference with the tropical zodiac. While Mercury retrogrades multiple times a year, its current extended stay in Cancer, nearly 2 months long, has added emotional depth and mental sensitivity to its otherwise intellectual domain. As Mercury begins its forward motion once again, we collectively step into a phase of mental clarity, emotional integration, and resumed momentum in areas where confusion or stagnation had previously prevailed. The retrograde may have stirred memories, miscommunications, or emotional blockages, but Mercury turning direct signals a time when we can begin to articulate what we've been feeling and move forward with greater emotional awareness and clarity. Cancer, being a cardinal water sign ruled by the moon, is closely associated with emotional memory, intuition, family, home, nourishment, and security. When Mercury, the planet of logic, data, communication, travel, and analytical thought, transits such a feeling-centered sign, the intellect becomes deeply intertwined with the emotional body. During the retrograde, many people may have found it difficult to distinguish between what they felt and what they thought. Words may have failed to express inner states, and communication with loved ones may have been marked by emotional undercurrents, indirect messaging, or unresolved sentiments from the past. Now, as Mercury gains direct speed, these tangled emotional threads start to unravel, bringing with them insight, resolution, and more constructive dialogue. It's important to recognize that Mercury doesn't simply switch from retrograde problems to direct solutions overnight. The days following August 11 still belong to what astrologers call the post-retrograde shadow period, during which Mercury will retrace the same degrees it had earlier covered in retrograde motion. This means that we may continue to experience echoes of the same themes, particularly in areas related to the house that Cancer occupies in your chart, but now there is opportunity for resolution, decision-making, and emotional release. If the retrograde had created delays in communication, travel plans, decision-making, or technological systems, those blocks will gradually begin to clear. Patience is essential, as Mercury gains speed slowly, and the lessons of its retrograde are still unfolding. Adding another important dimension to this transit is the presence of the Sun in Cancer, which has been closely conjunct Mercury since mid-July, forming a period of cazimi around late July when Mercury was exactly aligned with the Sun. This marked a moment of rebirth for Mercury, a purification of thought through the fire of the Sun. This alignment may have triggered moments of sudden realization, insight, or emotional clarity. Now, with Mercury moving forward, you can begin to apply these realizations in tangible ways, whether that means having a much-needed conversation, revisiting a creative idea, or restructuring your emotional boundaries within family or home life. As Mercury continues its forward journey in Cancer, it is poised to form a conjunction with Venus when Venus enters Cancer on August 21st. Venus, the planet of harmony, love, relationships, and aesthetics, will infuse Mercury's intellect with emotional softness, compassion, and creativity. This planetary combination brings a beautifully poetic, expressive, and emotionally intelligent energy that allows conversations to become more heartfelt and artistic pursuits to be filled with sensitivity. If there was misunderstanding in love or confusion in financial negotiations during the retrograde, this conjunction offers an opportunity to smooth over tensions and reconnect through warmth and gentleness. Meanwhile, Saturn continues its retrograde in Pisces, forming a supportive trine with Mercury in Cancer, both being water signs. This water trine creates a subtle but steady undercurrent of emotional maturity, spiritual insight, and long-term reflection. While Mercury may be regaining clarity and speed, Saturn ensures that the insights gained are not fleeting but are instead grounded in accountability and emotional responsibility. It's a time when the emotional reflections of the past month can now be transformed into commitments for the future, whether in personal growth, healing work, or even practical tasks related to family, home, or inner life. Simultaneously, Jupiter's presence in Gemini is significant. Mercury, as the natural ruler of Gemini, holds a special link to Jupiter in this position. While Jupiter expands and amplifies the mental activity and learning-oriented themes of Gemini, Mercury's direct motion in Cancer creates the bridge between head and heart. It's a rare period when intellectual growth must also pass the test of emotional resonance. Facts alone are not enough. Intuition, emotional truth, and empathy must be woven into how we communicate and what we choose to share with others. This Mercury direct in Cancer also follows weeks of heightened mental emotional tension during which themes such as family conflict, unspoken emotional needs, unresolved childhood issues, and fear of vulnerability may have come to the surface. Some may have revisited past relationships, old traumas, or long-forgotten memories that still carry emotional weight. Mercury's return to direct motion offers a turning point, the ability to integrate these reflections, reframe the past, and articulate a new narrative. Yet, as Mercury is a neutral planet, much of how it behaves in transit depends on its planetary company. In this period, with both the Sun and Venus closely nearby, Mercury leans toward benefic results, especially when it comes to healing rifts, fostering understanding in relationships, and expressing yourself with compassion and emotional insight. It also requires discernment. Cancer's emotional depth can sometimes blur boundaries, and it's important to ensure that communication remains clear and not clouded by emotional projection or passive aggressiveness. Mercury in Cancer, when balanced, offers the power of emotional intelligence, but when distorted, can lead to misinterpretation through oversensitivity. It's crucial to recognize Mercury symbolizes communication influenced by surroundings, mirroring how conversations reflect one's company. In essence, Mercury's transit triggers curiosity regarding matters related to the sign and house it traverses, prompting information gathering and sharing, aligning with Mercury's fundamental nature to communicate and exchange knowledge. To assess the impact of this transit, it's crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign provides insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you'll emotionally respond to these changes. Consider the position of your current Maha-Dasha lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current Dasha period. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Mercury's Ashtaka score in Cancer. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit will differ from person to person, contingent on Mercury's interaction with the planets in their individual birth charts, or its transit through the zodiac. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Mercury Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Mercury turning direct in the 4th house marks a significant shift in mental clarity and emotional balance, particularly regarding home life, inner stability, family, and long-term security. Mercury governs the 3rd house of communication, initiative, skills, and siblings, as well as the 6th house of duties, conflicts, daily work, and health. When it resumes direct motion in the sensitive sign of Cancer, these spheres begin to realign after a few weeks of retrograde turbulence. This transition helps you process unresolved issues related to your emotional needs, family communications, and inner sense of grounding. With your ruling planet Mars transiting Virgo, your 6th house, there's additional energy directed toward productivity, problem solving, and organizing your external life in alignment with your internal changes. Over the past few weeks, while Mercury was retrograde in your 4th house, you may have experienced a sense of mental fog or emotional disruption within your domestic sphere. Communications with family members could have been strained or unclear, or perhaps plans around home renovation, relocation, or property matters were delayed or confusing. Some Aries individuals may have felt emotionally withdrawn, needing to retreat and revisit what home truly means to them. Misunderstandings with parents, especially the mother or maternal figures, may have surfaced, offering a chance to reprocess past emotional wounds. Now that Mercury has resumed its direct motion, you'll notice an easing of such tensions and an opportunity to address those matters with more sensitivity and clear thinking. This direct motion of Mercury supports open, thoughtful discussions in your private environment. Whether it's mending bonds with parents or resolving disagreements among housemates or family members, there's greater potential now to express your emotions in a balanced and intelligent way. If you've been negotiating property, signing agreements related to land, or planning to move homes, the delays that held you back may begin to shift. You are likely to revisit those documents or dialogues with greater focus, ensuring that no detail is missed. This is a time when real estate or household purchases can move forward again with a sense of confidence. Mercury also rules your 3rd house, and with it turning direct in the 4th house, there's a strong connection between your thinking, communication, and your emotional core. You may feel compelled to express your thoughts to family, engage in heart-to-heart conversations, or use your communication skills to resolve long-standing emotional patterns that began in your early life. You could also feel drawn to improve your home communication systems, upgrading your gadgets, improving your workspace, or even writing or working from home with renewed interest and productivity. Creative ideas that had previously been stuck may now find fertile ground when you connect with a sense of comfort and familiarity within your surroundings. Mercury's rulership of the 6th house adds a practical, problem-solving dimension to this transit. The 6th house relates to day-to-day responsibilities, habits, service, pets, legal matters, and health. During the retrograde phase, you may have experienced internal confusion around routines or work dynamics, possibly leading to poor time management or disrupted wellness practices. Perhaps there were conflicts at work, stress due to domestic chores, or unresolved health issues that needed attention. Now, with Mercury moving forward, you're better equipped to bring structure and method to your home life, especially if you work from home or balance professional duties alongside family responsibilities. This is also a time when you may become more conscious of your emotional habits. Mercury, being the planet of analysis and logic, now allows you to understand how certain patterns, perhaps passed down from family or childhood, affect your behavior today. If you've been avoiding self-care or neglecting mental peace due to external stressors, this period offers a chance to reframe your approach. You might begin journaling, seeking therapy, or simply creating more silent moments at home to understand your own needs. The fourth house, after all, is not just about external homes, it's about the inner home you carry within. With Mars transiting your sixth house, you're likely feeling a push to resolve any pending tasks with vigor and attention to detail. This Mars-Mercury combination brings the drive to fix things, both internally and externally. You may find yourself wanting to clean, repair, or organize your home or workspace. Professionally, this alignment sharpens your critical thinking and allows you to deal with work-related obstacles or enemies more effectively. If you've been facing delays in communication with coworkers or clients, or were unsure about launching a work-related project, things may now begin to gain momentum. Just be mindful of being overly sharp or critical in your speech, as Mars in Virgo can sometimes make you hyper-analytical or impatient. This period is also supportive of healing old emotional wounds that stem from family dynamics or childhood conditioning. Mercury's transit through Cancer connects the mind with the heart, bringing memories from the past to the surface not for sentimental reasons, but for reevaluation and healing. If you've been journaling, attending therapy, or simply reflecting more during Mercury's retrograde, this direct phase allows you to take action based on what you've realized. Conversations with family or those who shaped your emotional foundation may become easier, or you may choose to forgive and detach from things that no longer serve your growth. If you're under Mercury's Maha-Dasha or Antarctica, this period becomes even more important. Events involving real estate, contracts, family issues, home repairs, or relocations may take focus. Your mind may be busier than usual with ideas around securing your future or improving your environment. These ideas may now feel more focused and actionable, especially if they've been percolating for some time without clarity. If you've been nurturing creative ideas that have roots in emotional experiences, perhaps writing, designing, or teaching from a place of personal truth, this is the perfect time to give them shape. The fourth house also has ties with education and emotional learning, so this can be an excellent time to pursue study or spiritual practices that bring deeper internal clarity. Mercury's direct motion helps you sort through thoughts, feelings, and intentions, giving voice to what was once vague or unexpressed. Overall, Mercury turning direct in Cancer brings clarity to matters related to your home life, emotional state, and foundational stability. Since it rules your third and sixth houses, this shift also improves communication, work routines, and physical health. Combined with the active and detail-oriented transit of Mars in Virgo, this is a powerful moment for Aries individuals to bring emotional insight and intellectual focus into perfect alignment. You may not resolve every issue immediately, but your ability to respond with intention, communicate more wisely, and structure your environment for peace and productivity becomes a defining theme. For Taurus, Mercury's direct station in the sign of Cancer occurs in your third house of communication, skills, self-expression, and short journeys. Over the past few weeks, since Mercury began its retrograde motion on July 18th, you may have encountered unexpected disruptions in these very areas, such as misunderstandings in day-to-day interactions, difficulties with siblings, delays in travel, or a general mental fog that made it hard to process or express your ideas clearly. As Mercury now resumes forward movement, the air begins to clear, and you may find yourself gradually regaining a more confident voice, not just literally but also emotionally and mentally. Since Cancer is a water sign tied to the heart and intuition, your mental expression now becomes more emotionally intelligent, sensitive, and compassionate. As the natural ruler of your second house of finances, speech, and family values, and your fifth house of creativity, romance, and intellect, Mercury plays a central role in shaping both your material priorities and personal expression. During its retrograde, these areas may have required a pause or reevaluation. There might have been confusion around how you express your needs, delays in financial matters, or challenges with children or romantic partners that forced you to step back and reflect. With Mercury now turning direct in the third house, you're ready to take what you've emotionally processed and begin translating it into more effective and heartfelt communication. The third house is not just about casual communication, it's also the domain of skills, short-term goals, self-effort, courage, and one's immediate environment. Mercury's extended stay here due to the retrograde has brought your attention squarely onto how you express your thoughts, what you say, or don't say, and how effectively you communicate your ideas to those around you. For Taurus individuals, who are often measured and deliberate in speech, this may have brought internal conflict, wanting to say something, but fearing emotional fallout. Now that Mercury is direct, the emotional charge behind your words becomes easier to manage, and you're more likely to express yourself clearly without being overwhelmed by sentiment. Because Mercury also rules your second house, financial clarity also returns during this period. If there were delays in receiving payments, misunderstandings about financial agreements, or uncertainty about budgeting, you can expect those matters to begin progressing. This is especially relevant if your income is tied to mercurial activities, such as writing, speaking, marketing, trading, or teaching. You may now see momentum picking up in those areas, or you might receive news regarding a financial decision that had previously stalled. The fifth house rulership adds another layer. Your creative ideas, romantic communications, or decisions about children are also tied to this Mercury cycle. If you've been rethinking a creative project, trying to sort out romantic miscommunications, or revisiting concerns about your child's education or emotional state, Mercury's direct motion helps bring those issues into sharper, more manageable focus. This is a time when emotional expression becomes a bridge toward understanding rather than a source of confusion. Your natural earthly patience now combines beautifully with the intuitive qualities of Cancer, allowing you to express love, care, and insight more fluidly. The sign of Cancer, where Mercury is transiting, emphasizes feelings, emotional bonds, nostalgia, and a desire for emotional safety in communication. For Taurus, a sign that seeks stability, the emotionally charged conversations during the retrograde may have been uncomfortable or exhausting. You may have withdrawn or taken time to process in silence. As Mercury gains direct speed, you're more likely to re-engage in conversations, especially with siblings, neighbors, close friends, or even online communities, but now with better understanding and emotional clarity. There could be opportunities to mend past misunderstandings, reinitiate a creative collaboration, or share something you've been holding back out of emotional hesitation. What enhances the emotional and relational tone of this period is Venus, your ruling planet, which is currently moving through Cancer as well and will join Mercury shortly after its direct motion. This Venus-Mercury conjunction in your third house is deeply supportive of romantic communication, artistic expression, and emotionally sincere dialogues. If there's something you've wanted to say to someone you care about, whether it's a partner, a sibling, or even an old friend, this is an ideal time to reach out, offer healing words, and share from the heart. The alignment also benefits writing, journaling, poetry, or any form of storytelling that helps you release emotions creatively. Meanwhile, Mars is transiting Virgo, your fifth house, where it activates creativity, romance, children, and your sense of fun. This Mars-Mercury dynamic, with Mars energizing one Mercury-ruled house and Mercury turning direct in another, forms a strong interplay between mental agility and creative action. Ideas you've been reflecting on, especially related to writing, art, teaching, or launching something personal, now have the support of both strategic drive and emotional nuance. You're thinking not only more clearly but also more creatively. This combination is ideal for launching a blog, podcast, educational program, or even initiating a romantic conversation you've been postponing. At the same time, Saturn is retrograding in Pisces, your 11th house of long-term goals, social circles, and aspirations. This subtle aspect reminds you that your thoughts and communications during this period should be anchored in realism and long-term vision. As Mercury moves forward, don't just communicate emotionally, communicate with purpose. If you're expressing something, let it be constructive, well thought out, and reflective of your values. The emotional insights gained during Mercury retrograde can now be directed towards setting new goals, reconnecting with friends who matter, and refining your social presence. You may also notice a growing urge to learn something new or refine a practical skill. The third house is the natural house of skills and self-effort, and with Mercury now back in motion, you could feel inclined to sign up for a short course, return to a writing project, or invest time in a creative outlet that helps you sharpen your mental edge. If you had previously considered learning something related to communication, media, counseling, or publishing, now is the time to return to those goals with renewed clarity. Overall, Mercury's direct motion in your third house brings a much-needed clearing of the emotional and mental static that may have affected your confidence in recent weeks. It gives you permission to speak your truth with grace, to reconnect with your surroundings, and to explore what you're really curious about. With your ruling planet Venus supporting this transition and Mars energizing your creativity and intellect, the coming weeks are deeply aligned for heartfelt communication, practical learning, and expressing yourself in a way that resonates both emotionally and intellectually. For Gemini, Mercury's direct motion in Cancer brings notable shifts in focus, particularly in areas related to finance, family, speech, and emotional security. Since Mercury governs both your first house of self, identity, and physical presence, and your fourth house of home, emotional foundation, and inner peace, its retrograde cycle over the past few weeks likely created a strong sense of introspection and mental heaviness. You may have been pulled into deeply personal reflections about your role in the family, how you communicate your needs, or how emotionally secure you feel in your financial and domestic world. Now, with Mercury regaining its forward movement in your second house of values, savings, and personal worth, these themes begin to untangle and clarify. As the natural ruler of your ascendant, Mercury's influence is central to your personality, physical vitality, cognitive clarity, and how you engage with life. While retrograde, you may have experienced a slowdown in your usual sharpness, possibly struggling with overthinking, second-guessing your words, or even physical exhaustion from mental stress. This was especially intensified because the retrograde occurred in Cancer, a water sign that brings emotions to the forefront. Thoughts and emotions may have intertwined, making it harder for you to maintain the usual detachment you prefer. With Mercury now direct, your clarity of mind begins to return. You start to speak, plan, and act with greater self-assurance. The second house, where this direct motion takes place, deals with your money, speech, accumulated resources, family values, and self-worth. Mercury's retrograde in this area may have triggered confusion about financial planning, delayed payments, or uneasiness around material stability. You may have found yourself reflecting on how much you earn versus how much you value your efforts. There might have been strained conversations within the family, particularly about money, responsibilities, or emotional boundaries. These matters now start to move forward. You may receive long-delayed financial news, or a project you've been waiting to monetize could finally yield results. Because Mercury also rules your fourth house, these financial themes are likely tied to home life or emotional security. Maybe you've been reconsidering a decision about real estate, home renovation, or family support. Maybe you've been emotionally wrestling with how secure you feel in your current living situation. With Mercury turning direct in the second, and still holding the emotional sensitivity of Cancer, you're now able to process these themes more rationally. It's an excellent time to have grounded conversations about shared family assets, home investments, or long-term security. There's also more comfort in expressing your needs without emotional overflow. The speech-related aspect of the second house also comes into focus. Mercury's retrograde could have led to misunderstandings, hurtful words, or self-censorship. You may have hesitated to speak up about financial concerns, familial stress, or your emotional needs. Now that Mercury is moving forward, your voice regains strength, and your communication becomes more direct yet nurturing. You're better equipped to articulate what you need, whether it's more support from family or clear agreements around money. If public speaking, teaching, or content creation is part of your work, this shift supports smoother expression and more impactful delivery. Another important layer to consider during this Mercury direct phase is Jupiter's transit through Gemini, your first house. Jupiter is the great expander, and when it moves through the ascendant, it amplifies personal growth, wisdom, optimism, and visibility. This combination, Mercury turning direct in the second while Jupiter blesses your first, creates a potent opportunity to realign your personal goals with your material reality. The ideas you've been formulating about who you are and what you want are no longer just mental constructs. You now have both the intellectual clarity, Mercury, and the visionary support, Jupiter, to manifest tangible progress, particularly through better financial management, stronger self-worth, and clearer communication. Jupiter in the first also magnifies your voice and presence, making this a powerful time for those involved in any form of consulting, advising, speaking, or writing. If you've been reworking your brand, redefining your communication style, or trying to launch a new idea or product, now is when you start to gain traction. Your thoughts are not just theoretical anymore. They're beginning to resonate with the outer world, especially if you've done the emotional groundwork that Cancer demanded during Mercury's retrograde. Cancer's emotional tone in the second house also brings sensitivity around self-worth and value systems. You may have spent the retrograde questioning whether you are valued enough, by family, by work, or even in romantic dynamics. Mercury turning direct allows you to see these insecurities for what they are, passing emotional waves, not permanent truths. In fact, you may now feel a renewed sense of inner value and self-respect, helping you make more confident decisions around both money and personal boundaries. As Venus prepares to enter Cancer on August 21st, joining Mercury in your second house, the themes of value, beauty, and emotional connection with money and family are further highlighted. Venus softens your words and enhances your diplomacy, making it easier to have those important conversations around financial fairness or family contributions. It can also mark a fortunate time for earnings, particularly from Venus-ruled fields like art, beauty, design, luxury goods, food, or women-centric ventures. You may feel more inclined to spend on comfort or emotionally meaningful items, but Venus here also encourages wise investments in things that truly enhance your quality of life. With Saturn retrograding in Pisces, your 10th house of career and life direction, there is also an undercurrent of pressure regarding long-term professional goals. The combination of Mercury's direct motion and Jupiter's expansive energy is helping you reconcile your ambitions with your values. It's no longer just about achieving success. It's about doing it in a way that honors your truth and emotional well-being. Conversations with authority figures may start to move more productively. If there were delays in recognition, promotion, or project approval, you may now find them moving forward gradually. Finally, Mercury's direct motion in your 2nd house is also a chance to redefine your relationship with security. Security isn't just about money, it's about emotional grounding, spiritual integrity, and mental peace. Mercury in Cancer doesn't just want logical answers, it wants heartfelt understanding. Overall, Gemini individuals are stepping into a period of renewed clarity, financial stabilization, and confident self-expression as Mercury turns direct in the 2nd house. This marks the end of a period of emotional and financial confusion, and the beginning of more intentional living, where your voice, your values, and your vision begin to align. Jupiter in your sign amplifies this shift, opening up new avenues of growth, recognition, and wisdom. And with Venus soon to join Mercury in this very house, both your words and your worth carry extra weight. For Cancer, Mercury's direct station in your own sign and 1st house brings a powerful shift in mental clarity, communication style, personal outlook, and how you express yourself to the world. This has been an extended Mercury transit through Cancer due to its retrograde cycle, lasting nearly 2 months. As a result, the themes of self-perception, identity, expression, and interaction with others have been under intense emotional and intellectual review. Now, with Mercury resuming its forward motion, you are poised to step into a new level of self-awareness and verbal power, where your thoughts, emotions, and self-expression begin to align again. Mercury governs your 3rd house of communication, skills, siblings, efforts, and short travels, and your 12th house of isolation, spirituality, losses, foreign lands, and subconscious patterns. During the retrograde period, these two very different houses blended in the 1st house, the house of your identity, body, and how others perceive you. This may have led to internal confusion and emotional overwhelm. You might have felt that your thoughts were too private or too intense to share, or you may have been misunderstood by those around you. Perhaps you found it difficult to express your desires, or retreated into a more silent, reflective space. Now that Mercury is moving direct in your sign, your mental fog begins to lift, and you can start communicating your needs and ideas more effectively. The 1st house is where everything begins. It represents your outer personality, vitality, behavior, and appearance. When Mercury stations direct here, it marks a moment of mental clarity about who you are and how you want to engage with the world. Since the retrograde period forced you to look inward, now you're coming out of that shell, much like the crab that symbolizes your sign, with new insights about how you think, speak, and relate. This is a strong time for making important decisions that directly affect you, such as changing your personal image, restarting conversations that previously went off track, or making confident choices that reflect your emotional truth. Since Mercury rules your 3rd house, themes like writing, speaking, teaching, marketing, and networking are getting a boost. If you faced misunderstandings with siblings, issues with documentation, delays in communications, or interruptions in short travels during the retrograde, those blocks now begin to ease. More importantly, you now have greater emotional insight into how you want to connect and express. The way you speak and share information is more heart-centered now, more connected to your emotional authenticity. This helps you build more meaningful bonds with siblings, peers, and people in your immediate circle. The influence of Mercury's 12th house rulership adds a mystical, inward layer to this otherwise outgoing transit. Your subconscious thoughts and hidden fears have been stirring over the past few weeks. Maybe you found yourself speaking less but thinking more, possibly dreaming vividly or engaging in spiritual practices to find peace. Perhaps you've been working behind the scenes on something deeply personal, creative writing, spiritual reflection, or inner healing. Now that Mercury is turning direct, you're better equipped to bring these inner experiences into your conscious awareness. You may even feel inspired to share your private reflections more openly, either in conversation, creative content, or healing dialogues. This is a profound time for self-expression, not just in words but in the way you carry yourself. Cancer is already a sign that feels deeply but tends to conceal much of what's happening beneath the surface. With Mercury moving forward in your 1st house, your inner voice becomes your outer voice. There is more ease in sharing how you truly feel, more confidence in expressing your needs, and more clarity about what you want moving forward. If you had been hesitating about a conversation, especially one that's personal or emotionally sensitive, this is the time to initiate it. You're more likely to be heard, and better able to convey your message in a way that resonates with others. Supporting this shift are Venus and Jupiter currently transiting your 12th house in Gemini, a placement that adds beauty, harmony, and expansion to your internal world. Venus in the 12th brings sweetness and spiritual longing in solitude, and Jupiter brings a desire to explore deeper truths, foreign cultures, or hidden realms of wisdom. With both of these planets influencing the 12th house while Mercury turns direct in the 1st, you're learning how to integrate solitude with self-expression, introspection with action, and emotional vulnerability with mental clarity. It's a beautiful alignment for creative writers, spiritual seekers, and those in healing professions. Your words now carry emotional depth as well as intellectual strength. You may also be receiving important spiritual insights, and with Mercury now direct, you have the cognitive clarity to understand and articulate those messages. If you've felt like you've been swimming in emotional waters during the retrograde, this moment offers you the boat, the means to rise above, make sense of it all, and start navigating forward again with intelligence and mental strength. Another significant aspect is the upcoming Venus-Mercury conjunction in Cancer, happening shortly after Mercury turns direct. This brings tenderness and emotional harmony to your speech and appearance. People will be more drawn to your sensitivity, your empathy, and your calming presence. If you've been healing emotional wounds or rebuilding your confidence, this conjunction helps others see your strength and softness at once. It's an ideal time for heart-to-heart conversations, forgiveness, and expressing affection in a gentle yet clear manner. Meanwhile, Saturn continues to retrograde in Pisces, your 9th house of higher beliefs, philosophy, long-distance travel, and higher education. This ongoing introspective process in your belief system adds a layer of seriousness and depth to your thoughts. With Mercury turning direct in your 1st house, and Saturn simultaneously asking you to reevaluate your philosophical or spiritual frameworks, you may begin to articulate deeper truths about your values, your journey, and the knowledge you've gathered over time. Perhaps you're thinking differently about life purpose, questioning your place in the world, or reconsidering long-term goals. All in all, Mercury's direct motion in Cancer initiates a fresh chapter of personal clarity, emotional intelligence, and self-empowerment. This transit allows you to move forward with new clarity about who you are, what matters to you, and how you want others to perceive and understand you. For Leo, the upcoming direct motion of Mercury in Cancer brings an energetic shift in your inner world. Mercury, which governs your 2nd house of wealth, family values, and speech as well as your 11th house of gains, ambitions, network circles, and elder siblings, has been retrograding in your 12th house of solitude, foreign connections, spiritual growth, and subconscious realms for several weeks. This transit may have brought moments of silence, confusion, and deep inner questioning, especially regarding your financial situation, emotional security, long-term goals, and your place within social structures. Now, as Mercury begins moving forward again in the emotionally rich and reflective sign of Cancer, a sense of clarity starts to emerge regarding all that was left uncertain during the retrograde phase. The 12th house is not an easy terrain for Mercury to navigate. Being a planet of logic, communication, and analysis, Mercury prefers structure and clarity, while the 12th house is nebulous, intuitive, hidden, and often disconnected from the physical realm. Over the past few weeks, you may have experienced a period of detachment from your usual ambitions or social interactions. Your mind might have been occupied with private concerns, hidden fears, or spiritual inquiries. There could have been confusion in dealing with financial matters connected to foreign sources, charity, or hospital-related expenses. Unspoken words and unexpressed thoughts may have lingered in your subconscious, leading to mental fog or withdrawal. Some Leo individuals may have found themselves retreating from the world to heal, reflect, or even escape the chaos of daily life. Now, as Mercury turns direct, you begin to feel a renewed sense of mental and emotional direction. You're likely to emerge from your shell of introspection, ready to communicate more clearly about matters you've kept to yourself. Hidden feelings, dreams, or insights gained during the retrograde phase may start finding their way into your conscious awareness. You may suddenly feel inspired to write about your emotional journey, share a deeply personal realization, or reinitiate a conversation that was once too difficult to express. This is a period where the veil between your subconscious mind and outer expression thins, enabling you to bridge your inner and outer worlds through words. Since Mercury rules your 2nd house, finances and family matters have likely been part of this inner dialogue. Retrograde may have brought delays in payments, complications in family discussions, or reevaluation of your material priorities. With Mercury moving forward, financial clarity returns, particularly regarding overseas investments, charitable donations, or behind-the-scenes income sources. There may also be clearer communication with family members, especially if there were misunderstandings, emotional distance, or unsaid feelings during the past month. Equally important is Mercury's rulership of your 11th house, which deals with long-term desires, social groups, peer recognition, and material gains. During retrograde, these areas may have felt distant or unrewarding. Perhaps you questioned your place within certain circles or experienced misunderstandings with friends or team members. Or maybe you felt disconnected from your ambitions, wondering whether what you're striving for truly aligns with your inner purpose. With Mercury now direct, you're in a much stronger position to realign your goals with your inner truth. This is a good time to rejoin communities or networks you previously felt estranged from, rework your plans for success, and communicate your aspirations with more emotional honesty. The fact that Mercury is turning direct in Cancer means that these realizations and communications will carry an emotional, intuitive tone. You're not just speaking for the sake of clarity, you're speaking from the heart. There's a renewed softness in your expression, a deeper understanding of what makes you feel safe, supported, and spiritually fulfilled. If you work in fields related to healing, creative arts, writing, or any form of service connected with empathy, this Mercury transit can open new pathways for expressing yourself with both emotional depth and mental clarity. Ketu is currently transiting your sign, adding another layer to your personal evolution. Ketu represents detachment, spiritualization, and past life karma. Its presence in Leo, your first house of self and identity, has likely been creating an atmosphere of inner detachment or existential questioning. You may have felt less interested in external validation or ego-driven goals, and more drawn to inner growth, simplicity, or withdrawal. This can sometimes make you feel invisible, or as if your usual fiery Leo charisma isn't resonating with the world in the same way. Combined with Mercury retrograde in the 12th, this could have intensified feelings of loneliness or being misunderstood. Now, with Mercury moving forward, some of that fog lifts. You may not feel fully seen just yet, but you're gaining more control over how you communicate your presence to the world. You begin to understand that your voice still matters, even if your current journey feels more internal than external. And with Ketu in the 1st and Mercury in the 12th, this is a perfect time to focus on spiritual communication, artistic work, or inner healing through writing and reflection. Jupiter and Venus are transiting your 11th house of Gemini, providing blessings and opportunities in areas related to social life, ambitions, and income. While Mercury was retrograde, you may have felt disconnected or unable to fully access the benefits Jupiter and Venus were trying to deliver. Now, as Mercury resumes direct motion and begins to harmonize with these two benefics, you may start to see growth in these areas. You could receive long-awaited news about a project, connect with someone who helps elevate your career goals, or experience a stronger sense of community and belonging. Venus also brings sweetness into friendships and group dynamics, while Jupiter expands your ability to connect and be recognized. In many ways, this Mercury direct marks a return to emotional equilibrium. The time spent in reflection was not wasted. It gave you the insight you now need to move forward with deeper awareness. Whether you're thinking about letting go of old associations, starting a spiritual practice, or simply building new habits around how you spend your time and energy, you're ready to move ahead with more mindfulness and compassion for yourself and others. Overall, Leo individuals are stepping into a profoundly healing and introspective phase as Mercury moves direct in the 12th house. While the past few weeks may have brought isolation, emotional sensitivity, or communication delays, they also served as a reset point, one that now allows you to move forward with deeper emotional wisdom. You are not the same person who entered this Mercury retrograde cycle. You're more in tune with what truly matters, be it financial security, soul-aligned ambitions, or meaningful inner peace. Use this time to gradually reconnect with your external world, but carry with you the quiet truths and spiritual clarity that the last few weeks have uncovered. For Virgo, Mercury turning direct in the 11th house of desires, social networks, earnings, and long-term goals brings a long-awaited release of mental blockages and social stagnation. Since Mercury is your first house lord as well as the ruler of your 10th house of profession and status, its movement has a profound impact on your entire sense of identity, purpose, and career orientation. Its recent retrograde through Cancer has likely created delays, doubts, or miscommunications in areas related to group involvement, earnings, and ambition fulfillment. Now that Mercury is resuming its forward motion, you'll start seeing momentum build in these areas, and your ability to think clearly and express ideas within social or professional frameworks becomes more coherent. Mercury's retrograde in Cancer, the sign of emotional intelligence and nurturing, has been asking you to reflect on your connection with larger communities, peers, and dreams for the future. You may have felt emotionally distant from certain social groups or unsure about who truly supports your ambitions. The 11th house is where we seek validation through our place in larger systems, teams, organizations, online platforms, or movements. During the retrograde, there may have been misunderstandings within these circles or delays in launching team-based projects. Mercury moving direct clears the air, helping you not only reconnect with your community, but also become more expressive about your aspirations. Since Mercury is also your first house ruler, your overall mental and physical energy may have felt scattered or inward-focused during the retrograde. You might have found yourself retreating mentally, unsure of how to express your ideas in a group setting, or questioning whether you belong in certain professional environments. The mind-body connection may have felt slightly off, as if your thoughts weren't translating well into physical productivity. With Mercury direct in the 11th house, you regained control over your self-expression and are now able to speak with confidence, advocate for your goals, and network effectively. This is a great time to re-engage with community platforms or social groups you distanced yourself from during the past few weeks. As the 10th house lord, Mercury's forward movement also signals a return of professional clarity. Perhaps you were evaluating your long-term vision in the context of your career. Now that Mercury is direct, you'll feel more certain about the next steps. Networking or reconnecting with former colleagues or professional contacts could lead to important opportunities. You may also receive long-awaited feedback or recognition for your work, especially if it was delayed during the retrograde cycle. The emotional nature of Cancer colored this Mercury transit with heightened sensitivity. Words spoken, or withheld, over the past few weeks likely held emotional weight. If there were misunderstandings within your friend circle, peer groups, or even in online communities, Mercury direct gives you a chance to set the record straight. It also helps you communicate your dreams more clearly, so don't be surprised if people now begin to support you in ways they didn't before. You've probably learned that vulnerability in communication isn't a weakness, it's a strength. Use this time to speak your vision into existence, especially in professional or group contexts. Adding fire to this mental clarity is Mars currently transiting Virgo, your own sign and first house. The combination of Mercury direct in the 11th and Mars in the 1st is incredibly energizing. You now possess both the mental precision and the physical drive to initiate important conversations, take leadership in group settings, and pursue goals with renewed vigor. Mars in the 1st brings a bold edge to your personality. You're no longer content with just planning or thinking. You want action, and Mercury's direct motion supports this desire by clearing the fog that previously made action difficult. This is an excellent time to start implementing strategies for your future. Whether it's a digital project, a career switch, a public campaign, or something related to education, humanitarian work, or advocacy, Mercury now brings the cognitive sharpness and social alignment you need. If you've been crafting ideas in solitude, now's the time to share them with the world. You may also experience a surge in digital communication, social media engagement, or interactions with wider audiences. With your ruler Mercury moving direct and Mars pushing you forward, you're more driven to leave a mark, not just in your close environment but across wider networks. On a more internal level, this period helps you redefine your goals and realign them with your evolving sense of self. During the retrograde, you may have noticed that certain friendships or affiliations no longer resonate with your current path. Some dreams might have seemed out of reach or misaligned with your truth. With Mercury now moving forward, you're better able to sift through illusions and set realistic but ambitious goals. You're also more selective now, keen to associate only with people who genuinely support your growth, rather than drain your energy or hold you back. If you've been working behind the scenes on a big dream, like launching a website, initiating a cause, or publishing something, now is the moment to step into the spotlight. Mars in your sign gives you courage, while Mercury's direct motion offers clarity and timing. Just be sure to balance your ambition with empathy, especially since Mercury in Cancer still leans towards sensitivity and emotional tone in communication. Assert your goals, but with care and emotional intelligence. Another layer worth considering is the conjunction of Mercury with Venus toward the latter part of the transit. Venus will enter Cancer on August 21st and join Mercury in your 11th house. This brings harmony, charm, and sweetness into your friendships and social circles. If relationships have felt strained during the retrograde period, this alignment allows for healing, reconciliation, and positive collaborative energy. Venus softens the edges of Mercury's analytical tendencies and helps you express affection, gratitude, and appreciation in your interactions. It's a wonderful time to collaborate on creative or artistic projects, especially if they involve a wider audience. Overall, Virgo individuals are entering a dynamic and rewarding phase as Mercury, your chart ruler, resumes direct motion in your 11th house. The confusion, delay, and emotional reevaluation of the retrograde period have served a deeper purpose: to refine your goals, clarify your connections, and strengthen your mental resolve. With Mercury leading your thoughts and Mars driving your actions, this is a powerful time for achievement, collaboration, and personal advancement. You're not only thinking clearly, but you're also ready to act decisively. For Libra, the upcoming direct motion of Mercury in the 10th house marks a pivotal turning point in matters related to career, public image, authority figures, and life direction. This is an especially important transit because Mercury governs your 9th house of higher knowledge, belief systems, long-distance travel and luck, and your 12th house of foreign lands, isolation, spiritual evolution, and subconscious patterns. The combination of Mercury's rulership and its current transit suggests that your professional life and your deeper philosophical beliefs are aligning in a new way. Mercury turning direct in Cancer brings emotional clarity to professional decisions, and it could initiate forward movement in your career or open new doors you've been contemplating behind the scenes for some time now. Over the past few weeks, while Mercury was retrograde in your 10th house, you may have experienced a lack of direction or delays in your professional endeavors. The 10th house is about structure, status, and recognition, but Mercury's retrograde may have blurred lines of communication with superiors, stalled promotion decisions, or created confusion around your role and responsibilities. You may have found yourself second-guessing your career path or unsure of whether you are being valued or noticed in your current workplace. Some Libra individuals may have felt a need to retreat, stepping back from the spotlight to reflect on whether their current path truly resonates with their inner beliefs and purpose. This reflection was not without merit. Since Mercury rules your 9th house, your recent thoughts have likely been colored by deeper questions. Am I on the right path? Does my work reflect my values and beliefs? Is there something greater I'm supposed to be doing? As Mercury turns direct, answers to these questions start to crystallize. If you've been reevaluating your role in an organization, or even contemplating a career change or return to education, this is the time when clarity begins to emerge. Plans that were postponed, such as pursuing higher studies, applying for new positions, or launching professional projects, can now begin to take off. Communication with mentors, father figures, or guides also becomes smoother and more helpful. The 10th house also governs your public image, and during the retrograde, you may have felt that people misunderstood your intentions, or you struggled to present yourself the way you truly wished. This may have impacted your self-confidence, or made you question your standing in your field. But with Mercury moving direct, you're gaining control over how you're perceived. You may find yourself refining your professional communication, especially through written work, presentations, or interviews. The 10th house is about authority, and Mercury helps you regain your voice in authoritative spaces. If you've been trying to get your point across to higher-ups or navigate through complex office dynamics, now is when you'll find the right words and timing. Mercury's rulership of the 12th house implies that this period has also been deeply internal. Perhaps you've been spending time in solitude, planning your next steps quietly, or feeling disconnected from the daily grind. Some Libra individuals may have even explored spiritual or creative pursuits to make sense of recent emotional or professional unrest. The 12th house also connects with foreign lands, and you may have had delays in overseas opportunities, travel plans, or working with international clients. These delays may now begin to resolve, offering you the green light to act. If your work is related to writing, healing, spirituality, or working behind the scenes, this transit can help you structure those efforts in a more public or recognized way. What makes this Mercury direct even more interesting is that your first house lord Venus will join Mercury in Cancer on August 21st. Venus brings diplomacy, grace, creativity, and harmony, qualities that will now amplify your ability to shine professionally. This is a powerful combination that blends Mercury's analytical and communicative powers with Venus's charm and aesthetics. Together, they can help you enhance your reputation, make strategic professional connections, and gain recognition for both your intellect and your finesse. If you work in industries related to design, art, public relations, media, counseling, or even real estate, this Venus-Mercury conjunction can mark a period of professional blossoming. Your professional interactions will become more emotionally intelligent, especially as Mercury in Cancer is deeply intuitive and sensitive to the undercurrents of conversation. You'll be able to read situations more effectively, make thoughtful decisions, and lead with both your head and heart. This also suggests a period where nurturing your career may require soft power rather than assertive push. You'll succeed more through understanding, listening, and connecting with others emotionally than through confrontation or force. Another layer to consider is that the 10th house also governs your relationship with the father or father-like figures. If there have been misunderstandings, silent tensions, or distance in such relationships during the retrograde period, Mercury direct now opens the doorway to healing and honest conversation. Even within your organization, if you've felt overshadowed or overlooked by senior figures, this transit empowers you to speak up, seek guidance, and express your aspirations. This is also a good time to revisit ideas or projects that were paused or rejected earlier. Mercury direct supports reworking and improving previous drafts, whether it's a proposal, presentation, application, or public profile. You may be able to repurpose old ideas and breathe new life into them. If you're involved in self-employment, this is also an auspicious time to restart marketing efforts, reach out to past clients, or reorganize your brand presence. From a more psychological perspective, this transit encourages you to evaluate how much your career supports your emotional well-being. Cancer, being a watery sign, brings up questions like, am I emotionally fulfilled by what I do every day? Do I feel safe and supported in my professional environment? Does my current path reflect the values I hold dear? These are the questions Mercury's retrograde phase may have stirred. Now, as Mercury turns direct, you are ready to answer them and take aligned action. Overall, for Libra individuals, this Mercury direct in the 10th house of career and public image is a highly transformative period. It brings the end of professional confusion and opens the doors for forward movement in long-delayed matters. With Mercury ruling your 9th and 12th houses, you're blending wisdom, higher learning, and inner clarity with a renewed public presence. As Venus joins Mercury later in the month, your first house lord adds strength, charm, and creative power to your career trajectory. Whether it's through improving your communication with superiors, clarifying your long-term direction, or emotionally aligning with your public role, this is your chance to take thoughtful, strategic steps toward your ambitions, steps that reflect not just your external desires, but your inner truth. For Scorpio, Mercury turning direct in the 9th house carries potent significance for matters related to belief systems, higher education, long-distance travel, spiritual teachings, legal affairs, and the wisdom you derive from life's broader experiences. Mercury governs your 8th house, transformation, hidden matters, shared resources, deep psychological exploration, and 11th house, goals, gains, social circles, aspirations, recognition. Its retrograde journey may have slowed or confused progress in these areas, especially concerning your personal philosophy, spiritual framework, or education path. With Mercury resuming direct motion in the watery and introspective sign of Cancer, clarity begins to return in all these interconnected fields, helping you to reestablish a vision for the future with both emotional insight and intellectual understanding. Meanwhile, your chart ruler Mars is currently transiting through Virgo, your 11th house, amplifying your desire to act on ambitions and connect with the right people or communities to help achieve your goals. During Mercury's retrograde phase in the 9th house, you may have questioned your faith, lost direction in academic or legal pursuits, or even felt distant from your inner truth. This was a period marked by doubt or second-guessing. Perhaps you were unsure whether to continue your education, travel abroad, or commit to a certain belief system or philosophy. Important paperwork related to visas, legal documents, teaching assignments, or publishing may have faced setbacks. If you're involved in international business, communication across borders may have become disjointed or delayed. This phase might also have rekindled old conversations with mentors, teachers, or father-like figures, requiring you to re-examine the guidance they once gave you or the role they played in your intellectual development. Now, as Mercury shifts direct, the answers you've been searching for begin to emerge, not as external instructions, but through your own inner voice. The 9th house also represents long-distance travel and expansion through experiences. If plans to move, travel, or connect with foreign cultures have been postponed, expect movement to resume in the weeks following Mercury's direct turn. Emotional attachments to distant places or philosophies can surface. You may feel inclined to speak about or write from the heart regarding subjects like cultural identity, spiritual beliefs, or ethical dilemmas. Cancer's influence on Mercury here makes you more emotionally expressive in these matters. You're not just thinking about higher truths, you're feeling them deeply. This makes it an excellent time for journaling, or teaching from personal experiences that involve emotional transformation. Since Mercury governs your 8th house, its movement through the 9th suggests that deeper truths are now rising to the surface. You are not content with superficial knowledge anymore. Instead, you may feel compelled to dive beneath the surface of religious teachings, esoteric philosophies, or historical texts to find meaning that truly resonates with your emotional core. If you've been exploring occult subjects or therapeutic work involving healing, this is a highly supportive time to gain breakthroughs. Those working in psychology, investigative journalism, or research-based fields may also see old ideas re-emerge with new clarity. Something you previously overlooked might now offer profound insight. If you're dealing with inheritance matters, tax issues, or joint finances in a legal setting, clearer decisions can now be made. With Mercury also ruling your 11th house, your larger goals, social network, and long-term plans are very much under its influence. Mercury's direct turn helps you redefine the bigger picture. Perhaps your recent experiences or internal revelations have caused you to rethink the dreams you're pursuing or the communities you align with. You may now feel ready to reconnect with friends, collaborators, or larger groups that reflect your newfound beliefs or aspirations. Mercury's role in the 11th house also governs the way you network and share ideas. expect smoother communication in your professional and social circles. If you're involved in online content, teaching, activism, or anything involving a mass audience, this is an ideal time to resume publishing, broadcasting, or promoting your message. The presence of Mars in Virgo, your 11th house, brings added fire and drive to these Mercury themes. Mars energizes your desire to actively pursue your dreams, assert yourself in group dynamics, or challenge outdated ideals that no longer match your values. Mars' presence here, while Mercury governs this very house, creates a synergy that can push you to act on what you've recently discovered during the retrograde period. Your communication becomes sharper, more purposeful, and strategic, especially if you're speaking on behalf of a cause or guiding others toward change. Mars can sometimes be combative, so be cautious not to force your views on others, especially in philosophical or ideological debates. For those undergoing Mercury Maha-Dasha or Antarctica, this transit becomes even more pivotal. You may be entering a period where travel, study, publication, or spiritual development becomes a key focus. Your voice, ideas, and wisdom are now in greater demand, but they must come from a place of emotional authenticity. The Cancerian influence reminds you that intellect alone won't move people. It's your lived experience, your vulnerability, and your inner transformation that will hold true power in your communication. This transit is also favorable for resolving misunderstandings with teachers, parents, spiritual guides, or elders. If you've been misinterpreting advice or struggling with disillusionment toward authority figures, the Mercury direct motion gives you a chance to see things from a clearer, more forgiving perspective. New mentors may arrive in your life, or you may feel more open to teaching and mentoring others yourself, especially in subjects that bridge intellect with spirituality or emotional truth. With the upcoming Mercury-Venus conjunction in Cancer on August 21st, expect heartfelt conversations and deeply satisfying emotional exchanges, particularly around love, creative projects with educational or spiritual components, or romantic connections from distant places or cultural backgrounds. This conjunction enhances your ability to speak with tenderness and clarity about personal beliefs, creative visions, or feelings that previously felt too vulnerable to share. Overall, Mercury's direct motion in Cancer brings clarity to Scorpio individuals around their beliefs, long-term aspirations, and need for emotional truth in education and philosophy. With Mercury ruling the 8th and 11th houses, this transit reactivates your journey of internal transformation and inspires you to realign with goals that feel emotionally meaningful and intellectually sound. Mars transit in Virgo energizes your path toward making these ideals practical and reachable through persistent effort. Whether you're publishing your thoughts, planning a journey, returning to studies, or engaging in higher forms of dialogue, this is a powerful moment to turn your wisdom into impact and your reflections into meaningful action. For Sagittarius, Mercury turning direct in the 8th house brings an important moment of emotional clarity, psychological reorganization, and deeper understanding of all that lies beneath the surface, especially in matters related to shared resources, partnerships, vulnerabilities, transformation, and secrets. Mercury is the ruler of your 7th house of partnerships and committed relationships, as well as the 10th house of career, reputation, and public standing. With its prolonged retrograde journey through Cancer, a deeply emotional and private sign, your recent weeks may have revolved around emotional upheavals, private revelations, and internal dialogues that have prompted you to rethink your connection with others and your role in the world. When Mercury is retrograde in the 8th house, much of the reflection happens in silence. You may have gone through a period of intense introspection, revisiting past wounds, confronting your emotional insecurities, and questioning the foundation of your partnerships, both personal and professional. This house governs intimate bonds and emotional depth, but also fears, taboos, and the psychological patterns we avoid. Mercury here tends to dig into these hidden territories, especially when retrograde, forcing you to re-examine truths you thought were settled. Now, as Mercury moves direct, you are in a position to begin integrating these insights. You may find yourself emerging from this phase with renewed emotional intelligence, greater self-awareness, and deeper connection with others. Since Mercury governs your 7th house, the retrograde may have brought unresolved relationship matters to the surface. Whether in marriage, business partnerships, or close one-on-one dynamics, communication may have felt distorted. There may have been misunderstandings, unspoken grievances, or moments of distance that prompted both parties to withdraw and reflect. But with Mercury now resuming direct motion, this becomes an opportune time to re-engage in honest conversations, clarify intentions, and heal rifts. Relationships that survived the retrograde may emerge stronger, bonded through vulnerability and emotional transparency. For those who have recently begun a new relationship or collaboration, this direct motion may finally bring the clarity needed to move forward with confidence and emotional security. As Mercury also governs your 10th house of profession and public image, this retrograde may have created professional uncertainties. You might have felt unclear about your long-term goals, received mixed signals from superiors, or dealt with bureaucratic slowdowns in career matters. Some Sagittarius individuals may have experienced workplace dynamics that challenge their trust or force them to deal with issues of control and transparency. Mercury in the 8th can manifest as hidden professional agendas, behind-the-scenes negotiations, or delays in promotion or recognition. Now, with Mercury turning direct, professional clarity gradually returns. If any confidential matters were being handled, such as financial settlements, inheritance issues, tax matters, or legal complications, they can now proceed with more structure and clearer communication. The 8th house also governs joint finances, investments, and inheritance. During Mercury's retrograde phase, you may have revisited financial agreements or uncovered discrepancies in shared resources. This could have been a time of recalibrating budgets, discussing mutual obligations, or facing the emotional weight of financial dependency or responsibility. With Mercury now direct, these conversations can move toward resolution. Contracts and paperwork related to loans, insurance, taxes, or property divisions that were previously delayed may now gain traction. If you've been gathering information regarding passive income, legacy planning, or joint ventures, now is the right time to take calculated steps forward. Sagittarius is a sign that naturally seeks truth, higher knowledge, and expansive experiences. But the 8th house challenges this by pulling your energy inward, toward the shadowy, vulnerable, and mysterious realms of the psyche. This is not the kind of energy Sagittarians are always comfortable with. Yet, the more you allow yourself to explore your inner depths, the more empowered you become. Mercury's direct motion in this transformative house helps you process psychological burdens, reframe painful memories, and gain wisdom from your past. Therapy, healing, and journaling could all be particularly effective tools right now to transmute pain into insight. Adding further complexity and opportunity to this period, your ruling planet Jupiter is currently transiting Gemini, directly opposite Sagittarius and thus activating your 7th house. Venus has also joined Jupiter in Gemini, suggesting that relationships, collaborations, and interpersonal growth are front and center this month. This opposition, coupled with Mercury's direct motion, emphasizes the importance of communication in your partnerships. Jupiter in the 7th expands your awareness of others' perspectives, encouraging you to seek balance and mutual respect. Venus adds softness, charm, and the desire for emotional harmony. Combined with Mercury's shift in the deeply sensitive 8th house, this could be a time of emotional reconciliation, honest dialogue, and the mending of trust in relationships. This entire cycle may also inspire you to gain mastery over something hidden or complex, be it an emotional pattern, a field of knowledge like psychology or mysticism, or even a financial instrument. Mercury in Cancer lends intuitive brilliance, and when paired with Jupiter's hunger for knowledge and Venus's taste for beauty, you could develop a newfound fascination with a skill that integrates intellect, depth, and aesthetic appeal, perhaps creative writing, research, astrology, or even healing. The 8th house also symbolizes transformation through surrender. For many Sagittarius individuals, this Mercury retrograde may have been a phase where you were forced to surrender control, detach from what you can't change, and face emotional truths without resistance. Now that Mercury is direct, you may feel more empowered to act with clarity rather than confusion. You're stepping out of the darkness with a new understanding of what it means to be truly vulnerable, emotionally intimate, and psychologically aware. Finally, remember that the sign of Cancer brings sensitivity and emotional resonance to Mercury's otherwise rational and neutral nature. So, as Mercury begins moving forward, your communication, especially around 8th house topics, becomes more heartfelt, empathic, and healing. Whether it's expressing long-held emotions, apologizing, or offering closure, your words will carry weight and sincerity. You may also feel guided to write, counsel, or speak about personal transformation or taboo topics, sharing your insights to help others navigate their own inner journeys. Overall, for Sagittarius individuals, Mercury turning direct in the 8th house reopens emotional and intellectual doorways that were temporarily closed or distorted during its retrograde phase. With Mercury ruling your 7th and 10th houses, this shift reactivates themes of partnership, career, financial entanglements, psychological clarity, and deep inner healing. With your ruler Jupiter and Venus in your opposite sign Gemini, the desire for meaningful, balanced connections is strong, and the support for resolving both emotional and practical matters is fully available. As you emerge from the depths of introspection, you do so not only wiser but stronger, more emotionally whole, and ready to co-create a future aligned with both your ideals and your newfound emotional maturity. For Capricorn, Mercury turning direct in the 7th house initiates a pivotal moment in the area of relationships, commitments, business alliances, and legal or contractual matters. Mercury governs your 6th house, conflicts, responsibilities, routines, debts, health, service, work environment, and problem solving, and your 9th house, beliefs, higher knowledge, long-distance travel, ethics, and teachers. When Mercury regains its direct motion in the 7th house, the fog that may have clouded your judgment or conversations around these themes begins to lift, allowing clarity, healing, and forward momentum in your interpersonal life. The 7th house is the domain of committed partnerships, marriage, business alliances, long-term friendships, and legal agreements. It represents how you relate to others on a one-on-one level. During Mercury's retrograde in this house, you may have found that communication in your closest relationships became strained, confused, or overly emotional, especially since this retrograde took place in the emotionally sensitive sign of Cancer. Words may have been misunderstood, conversations may have been delayed, and feelings that had long remained unspoken could have risen to the surface. This retrograde period may have brought back unresolved issues from the past, perhaps resurfacing old patterns, reuniting you with people from previous chapters of your life, or pushing you to reevaluate what you truly seek in a partner. Now that Mercury is moving forward again, you are entering a time when those unsettled discussions can begin to find closure or renewal. If you've experienced arguments or distance with your spouse, romantic partner, or business collaborator, the energy is now far more conducive to understanding, reconciliation, and honest exchange. This is a period when bridges can be rebuilt, or, in some cases, decisions can be made to part ways if things no longer align with your long-term values, especially considering Mercury also rules your 9th house of beliefs and truth. The connection between the 7th and 9th houses is especially noteworthy here. The 9th house adds a philosophical or moral dimension to the way you relate to others. You're not just seeking partnership for its own sake. You want to be aligned with someone who shares your worldview, values, or life purpose. During the retrograde, you may have felt disillusioned or uncertain about whether your closest relationships supported your beliefs and future goals. Now, with Mercury direct, you can begin making decisions and having conversations that bring those two areas, relationship and truth, into better alignment. Mercury's rulership of the 6th house brings in the layer of conflict resolution and daily responsibility. Relationships may have been burdened recently with misunderstandings about duty, boundaries, or shared responsibilities. Perhaps someone was giving more than the other, or perhaps work stress and everyday life imbalances affected your ability to communicate effectively. Now, these matters can be dealt with more rationally. You may become more aware of what needs to be adjusted in your dynamics to bring greater equality and cooperation. In some cases, legal matters, like contracts, settlements, or professional negotiations, can also begin to move ahead now, after delays or ambiguity during the retrograde. From a professional standpoint, Mercury direct in the 7th house may also help those Capricorns working in fields that involve client relations, consulting, counseling, public speaking, or negotiation. You are now better able to express your ideas to others and present your proposals or services with more clarity and receptivity. This is a good time for those in business partnerships to sit down and discuss shared goals, division of labor, or financial responsibilities. If new partnerships are being considered, this is a more auspicious time to proceed than it was during the retrograde phase. Capricorn is a sign known for its composure, practicality, and long-term planning. During the recent Mercury retrograde, emotional intensity may have seeped into your normally structured world, especially in one-on-one connections. With Mercury direct, your natural ability to ground conversations and seek logical outcomes returns. You're now better equipped to combine the emotional sensitivity of Cancer with your own earthy wisdom, making your words both impactful and soothing. Adding another layer of importance to this transit is the fact that your chart ruler Saturn is currently retrograding in Pisces, which happens to be your 3rd house of communication, courage, and thought patterns. Saturn retrograde in the May 3rd have made you internally question how you express yourself, how you set boundaries, and whether you're truly being heard. Mercury's direct motion now supports this reflective energy with practical opportunities to communicate more effectively. You may find that lessons you've been integrating during Saturn's retrograde, such as learning to speak your truth with authority and compassion, can now be tested and applied in your closest relationships. Also worth noting is the emotional context brought by Mercury's transit through Cancer. This sign is ruled by the moon, and it governs emotional memory, attachment, and care. When Mercury transits Cancer, especially in the 7th house, your communication becomes more emotionally charged and intuitive. You're not just exchanging information, you're seeking to understand and be understood on a deeper, more emotional level. With Mercury now direct, you can articulate these feelings more clearly, making it easier to express love, set boundaries, or resolve old misunderstandings that were once left lingering. For those who are single or seeking new relationships, this transit can bring in people who are emotionally mature, empathetic, and possibly from a very different background, thanks to the 9th house link. If you've been reflecting on the kind of partner you want or what values are non-negotiable for you in a committed relationship, this clarity begins to emerge now. The type of partnerships you attract or pursue now may have more depth, spiritual compatibility, or emotional resonance than those in the past. On a more subtle level, Mercury turning direct in the 7th house also helps with self-understanding through your interactions with others. In astrology, the 7th house isn't just about other people. It is also the mirror through which we see ourselves. As conversations resume and people re-enter your life, you may gain new insight into your own patterns of giving, receiving, loving, and asserting yourself. Overall, Mercury's direct movement in your 7th house allows Capricorn individuals to re-engage with their relationships from a place of awareness, clarity, and emotional intelligence. With Mercury ruling both the 6th and 9th houses, this period highlights the need to balance responsibility with belief, routine with purpose, and partnership with truth. Misunderstandings in relationships can be cleared, legal and professional partnerships can be renegotiated, and inner clarity about your needs and relationships becomes available. Combined with Saturn's retrograde, this is a powerful time of slow but meaningful evolution in how you relate to others, and ultimately, how you relate to yourself. For Aquarius, Mercury turning direct in the 6th house marks a subtle but powerful shift in how you approach daily challenges, responsibilities, work habits, physical well-being, and conflict resolution. Mercury, the planet of communication, analysis, adaptability, and logic, governs your 5th house of creativity, romance, children, intellect, and self-expression, as well as your 8th house of transformation, hidden matters, shared assets, and psychological depth. With this transit occurring in the emotionally oriented sign of Cancer, the direct motion of Mercury allows a wave of clarity to flow into the areas of your life that may have felt murky, pressured, or unbalanced in recent weeks, especially those that require precision, thoughtful interaction, and emotional regulation. During Mercury's retrograde phase in your 6th house, you may have experienced repeated disruptions in your daily routine, miscommunications at work, or confusion surrounding health or service-oriented tasks. Tasks that seemed simple may have required more effort, while others were delayed or needed to be revised. If you work in a profession that requires constant verbal or written exchange, such as teaching, healthcare, administration, or consulting, you may have felt that your voice wasn't getting through or that people misunderstood your intentions. Now, as Mercury turns direct, these bottlenecks begin to dissolve. Productivity gradually increases, your work habits stabilize, and you can begin executing plans and tackling responsibilities with greater clarity and emotional intelligence. The 6th house in Vedic astrology deals not only with work, but also with enemies, obstacles, debts, and diseases. When Mercury is retrograde in this house, it forces you to rethink how you've been approaching such matters. You may have had to reassess your habits, especially if they were contributing to fatigue, inefficiency, or unnecessary stress. Perhaps the retrograde period made you more aware of underlying health issues or mental patterns that need healing. Now that Mercury is direct, you're better equipped to adopt strategies that not only support physical wellness but also foster mental clarity. Appointments with doctors, legal advisors, or therapists that were delayed may now proceed more smoothly. Since Mercury also rules your 5th house, this transit opens an important dialogue between creativity and practicality. You may begin finding ways to integrate your natural creativity and intellect into your work or daily routine. This could show up as using your creative talents in your profession, applying more innovative approaches to problem solving, or simply enjoying what you do on a daily basis more fully. Some Aquarians may also use this time to bring structure to a creative idea that had been floating in the mental background for a while, now giving it form and function. You might also revisit or revise a passion project, a content plan, or a business idea related to art, education, or children that experience delays during the retrograde. Mercury also governs your 8th house, and this adds deeper emotional and psychological layers to your experience. The 8th house is tied to secrets, karmic patterns, research, trauma, and transformation. It is also associated with joint assets, inheritances, and long-term financial planning. While Mercury was retrograde, issues tied to vulnerability, shared obligations, or unspoken emotional patterns may have resurfaced. You may have been mentally occupied with past wounds, trust issues, or a need to emotionally declutter. With Mercury now turning direct in the 6th house, it's time to apply the insights you've gained through this internal exploration in tangible, healing ways. If a situation involving shared finances, inheritances, debts, or insurance was stalled, there may now be a chance to resolve it more clearly and constructively. It's important to note that Mercury's direct motion is happening in Cancer, a sign associated with emotion, intuition, and home. In the 6th house, This can create a dynamic where emotional boundaries must be reinforced in your workplace or service environment. It's possible you've recently found yourself emotionally entangled in the problems of others or overextending yourself in trying to help someone. Now, with Mercury moving forward, you can begin asserting more emotional discipline, understanding where to offer your support and where to conserve your energy. Another important aspect of this period is the influence of your chart ruler Saturn, which is currently retrograding in Pisces, your second house of finances, values, speech, and self-worth. Saturn retrograde has been making you question the structure and sustainability of your income sources, as well as the alignment between your values and your actions. When combined with Mercury's direct motion in the 6th house, this may inspire you to take more responsible action regarding work, budget, and time management. You may begin realizing the areas where you've been overly idealistic or undisciplined about your routine, and now move toward a more grounded and consistent approach. The lessons of Saturn are never immediate, they unfold slowly, but Mercury's clarity helps you implement them more efficiently. Adding further depth to this period is the ongoing transit of Rahu in Aquarius, your first house of self, identity, and personal direction. With Rahu here, you've been pushed to reinvent yourself, chase unconventional paths, and challenge outdated perceptions of who you are. Rahu tends to bring obsession, confusion, or restlessness wherever it goes, and in the first house, this can manifest as internal chaos or a fractured sense of purpose. With Mercury going direct in your 6th house, you now gain access to the mental clarity and practical skill set required to handle this rapid self-reinvention. You may now feel more organized in your efforts to create change, channeling Rahu's intensity into something measurable and productive. This entire period is therefore about aligning intellect with application. You are called to take your deeper insights, Mercury's 8th house rulership, your expressive talents, 5th house rulership, and your desire for personal reinvention, Rahu in 1st, and ground them through daily actions, 6th house. The challenges you've been working through may not vanish overnight, but your ability to respond to them with maturity, resilience, and emotional intelligence increases dramatically. Finally, for Aquarians under Mercury Maha-Dasha or Antarctica, the impact of this direct transit will be even more pronounced. You'll feel renewed mental energy, improved focus, and a stronger desire to improve your systems of communication, efficiency, and health. This is an excellent time to revisit long-standing habits, establish routines that support growth, and take small but meaningful steps toward overall well-being, both mentally and physically. Overall, Mercury turning direct in the 6th house is a vital moment for Aquarius individuals to clear away confusion related to work, service, health, and daily responsibilities. As Mercury rules your 5th and 8th houses, this shift supports integration of creativity and emotional depth into your routine life. Combined with Saturn's ongoing retrograde in your 2nd house and Rahu's presence in your 1st house, the themes of self-discipline, strategic transformation, and personal evolution are interwoven with this transit. It's not just about fixing what's broken, it's about rebuilding in a way that aligns with the new version of yourself that is slowly emerging. For Pisces, Mercury's direct station in the 5th house is a meaningful event, particularly because it ends a prolonged period of introspection, delays, and emotional reprocessing tied to your creative voice, romantic expression, and intellectual pursuits. This direct motion of Mercury in Cancer, a sign that harmonizes well with your sensitive Piscean nature, encourages greater ease in expressing your ideas, rediscovering your passions, and navigating matters related to children, education, and love. Mercury governs your 4th house, home, inner peace, mother, property, emotional foundation, and 7th house, partnerships, marriage, business relations, agreements. So when it begins to move forward in the 5th house, all the themes governed by these houses begin to shift forward too, particularly those that were stuck or emotionally charged over the past few weeks. The 5th house is considered a house of joy, creativity, romance, education, and children. Mercury's retrograde through this area may have caused a temporary disconnect from the things that normally bring you happiness or inspiration. You may have felt creatively blocked, uncertain in romantic matters, or confused about your role as a parent or mentor. Perhaps you were reconsidering how to express affection or trying to revise a creative idea that once felt exciting but later lost momentum. In some cases, people from your past, especially romantic connections or old classmates, may have reappeared, offering a chance to resolve lingering emotions or rethink your stance. With Mercury now turning direct, these themes begin to untangle. Confusion lifts, and your ability to articulate your ideas, emotions, and creative passions returns. Because Mercury rules your 4th house, matters of emotional security, your home environment, or relationships with your mother could have been closely tied to the blockages you experienced in creativity or romance. Perhaps emotional disturbances in your domestic life impacted your ability to focus on your personal passions. Alternatively, you may have been considering a move, revisiting your childhood memories, or reevaluating your sense of stability and comfort. Now that Mercury is moving forward, decisions related to home, real estate, or family are likely to gain traction. Emotional healing in the family sphere can also begin to manifest, especially if miscommunications had caused friction in the recent past. The 4th and 5th house connection also highlights a more subtle transformation, an internal one. You may have spent the last few weeks reconnecting with your inner child, rediscovering activities that once brought joy, or developing emotional literacy around why certain patterns have played out in your personal life. There may have been an urge to retreat from others to understand your own needs and desires. As Mercury resumes direct motion, you find yourself more willing to re-engage with the outer world, bringing newfound insights into your interactions and creative endeavors. Meanwhile, Mercury also governs your 7th house, which relates to partnerships, committed relationships, business collaborations, contracts, and legal agreements. During the retrograde, there may have been delays or misunderstandings in these areas. Perhaps communication with a partner became strained, or contractual obligations were unclear. If you've been waiting for clarity regarding a relationship status or professional partnership, this clarity begins to emerge now. You may feel more empowered to express your true feelings, set boundaries, or approach agreements with a clearer mind and open heart. The direct transit in the 5th house allows love and relationships to be experienced with greater playfulness, sincerity, and warmth. You may begin to feel inspired again by someone you care about, or you may gain the confidence to express feelings that were previously held back. The influence of Cancer, an emotional and nurturing sign, adds a sentimental flavor to this transit. As Mercury moves through this water sign in your 5th house, you're more emotionally attuned in matters of love, parenting, and creativity. Your words carry emotion, and your mind is drawn to subjects of affection, beauty, imagination, and meaning. This is a wonderful time for artists, musicians, writers, and anyone in the creative fields to reconnect with inspiration and give tangible shape to their ideas. You might find yourself writing from the heart, creating emotionally rich content. Another important backdrop to consider is Saturn's retrograde in Pisces, your 1st house of identity, health, and personal direction. Saturn has been pressing you to redefine your sense of self and take responsibility for the life you're creating. It brings lessons about boundaries, structure, and maturity, but in retrograde, these lessons turn inward. You may be reevaluating your choices, long-term goals, and how others perceive you. With Mercury now direct in your 5th house, the bridge between internal identity shifts and outer creative expression becomes active again. You may find that the insights you've been gaining about yourself can now be channeled into projects, personal branding, or the way you present your talents and gifts to the world. If you've been quietly nurturing a personal transformation, this is a time to slowly start sharing it. Those going through Mercury Maha-Dasha or Antardasha will feel this shift more acutely. You may begin to notice that communication in your relationships, inspiration for your work, and your emotional well-being start to feel more cohesive again. If you've experienced mental or emotional fatigue, you'll likely find greater clarity returning, allowing you to manage your time and creative energy more effectively. The Mercury-Venus conjunction occurring later in Cancer on August 21st will further sweeten this period. Venus brings charm, beauty, and harmony, while Mercury brings clarity and articulation. This combination in your 5th house can bring new romantic opportunities, heartfelt conversations, or breakthroughs in artistic pursuits. It also enhances your ability to connect with children or younger individuals, making this a beneficial period for teaching, mentoring, or parenting. Ultimately, Mercury turning direct in your 5th house gives Pisces individuals the chance to reawaken the joy of expression, romance, and emotional connectivity. With the combined influence of Saturn retrograding in your 1st house and Mercury ruling both your home life and partnerships, this is a time when you are rebalancing your emotional world, learning when to open your heart and when to ground your energy. The internal lessons of Saturn now begin to take form in the outer world through Mercury's clarity. You're finding your voice again, not just to communicate, but to create, love, inspire, and grow. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the Sidereal Zodiac system used in Vedic Astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions, and outcomes will vary depending on your individual birth chart. The influence of transits is deeply shaped by your ongoing dasha periods and the specific placement of planets in your natal chart. What may be a time of progress for one person could mark a period of reflection or challenge for another. This is why it's essential to interpret transits within the context of your unique chart. If you're seeking a more personalized understanding of how current transits may impact you, or if you have specific questions about your birth chart, feel free to reach out to us. If you found this content helpful, please consider liking the video, sharing it with others who may benefit, and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. Thank you for watching. We look forward to continuing to share deeper astrological insights with you.